Hello out there, YouTube world. This is the Shadowbird Jeremy K, and for the first time in a long time, I have got a few things that I have got to say regarding wrestling. Specifically, total nonstop action wrestling, which I have continued to watch and been an avid supporter of for the longest time. I'm kind of concerned about TNA right now. I mean, there are still probably the best wrestling product out there, at least at this moment, anyway. But there are a few decisions that have been made that really kind of bother me. First of all, I'm on record for saying that I want Samoa Joe as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and I am glad that that has happened. Unfortunately, I kind of wonder if that's not, too little too late. Um, I think it's a good thing, but it really does bother me that Samoa Joe wasn't given the title, before the end of last year, and now it kind of makes his title reign not mean as much, really. I mean, especially the way they did it, where there was absolutely no shadow of a doubt that he was going to win at all. I mean, it was absolutely the foregone conclusion match of Lockdown. Speaking of Lockdown and the most recent pay per view as of this recording, Sacrifice, you know, I've come up with some pretty weird concept match ideas myself for e-fetting for the promotion that I started, Twilight Wrestling International e-fetting promotion, and I've come. They've been some really, really weird matches. I mean, we're talking about one of them was a cross between a battle royal, a last man standing, and a lumberjack match. And but even in my most wacky creative form, think that you know, gimmick matches can be overdone, and having more than one gimmick match on multiple consecutive pay-per-views really kind of makes it lose its specialness whenever you do have a gimmick match. Excuse me. I mean, for instance, we've got Lockdown, which is all cage pay-per-view, and it was a novel concept the first time around. I will admit I was enthused about it the first time that Lockdown ever came to be. The escape match, the lethal lockdown, I was fantastic about it. The next year that they had it, the second year, I was kind of a little about it, but they still had some good match setups there that kind of made it worthwhile. And then came this year, where we have not only the X Division escape match, which is a good match, but we also had Lethal Lockdown that had 8 guys that had a reason to be there, and then 2 guys that really didn't, being James Storm and Matt Morgan. And so that kind of turned that down a little bit. We had the foregone conclusion match, as mentioned before, where Joe was almost assured of winning the title. And then we had the knockouts match. And I'll admit, the TNA knockouts pwn the WWE Divas. PWN. Pwn. And, Gail Kim, Roxy Laveau, ODB, Awesome Kong, they're all incredible. But uh, and while I, not being one for a double standard in wrestling, while I kind of like the idea of a cage match with them, really, what I thought would have made a better cage match would have been, say, I don't know, maybe another Awesome Kong and Raisha Saeed versus Gail Kim and ODB, or maybe, a cage grudge match between the beautiful people Angelina Sky and Velvet Love. Ah, see, I get those two confused because they're just so much alike. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky versus one of my personal favorites, Roxy Laveau. But instead, they had the whole Queen of a Cage thing, and Roxy Laveau came out on top. She gets her title shot at the next Impact, and she almost gets completely squashed by Awesome Kong. That's not cool. I mean, by this point, we get it. Awesome Kong is a monster heel. Now, can we get a title change, please? And, well, basically, they do the same thing, at Sacrifice. It's almost the same thing, except this time it's a reverse battle royal slash ladder match instead of a reverse battle royal slash cage match. And this time, Roxy Laveau gets the short end of the stick. So, because she gets her head shaved. Personally, I would have preferred that either Angelina Love or Velvet Sky got their head shaved. And then we have the whole tag title situation. And is Super Eric really Eric Young? And you know what? At this point, what I want to see Kaz. And I want to see Kaz go out there and tell Super Eric, look, I know you're Eric Young. You know you're Eric Young. And this not admitting it is just not going to cut it. It's not going to do it. So you know what? You want to play the superhero? Well, guess what? Every superhero has got to have a supervillain, and I'm your supervillain. And then Kaz should just bitch slap him and beat him down. You know what? That'd be a great program, I think, and God knows, no other quote-unquote superhero character in wrestling before has ever really had an arch villain. So, why not? And then we have, then we have the tournament with the Deuces Wild tournament where it's half established teams and half guys get thrown together. And, I won't really say that much about that except to say Awesome Kong as one of the thrown together people in the thrown together teams. I actually think that was pretty awesome. Some people out there might not like that idea, but I kind of did. Then we had the Terror Dome. Perfect opportunity to get a good program going for someone with that little Petey Pump, I guess he's called now, Petey Williams. And you know what? I don't know what the story is behind this because I don't follow the backstage news anymore. I've heard that, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin has some heat. But this would have been the perfect opportunity for Chris Sabin, or preferably Alex Shelley, since he hasn't had one before, to get a shot at the X Division title. And haven't they paid for whatever they did enough? But instead, Kaz wins it. And like I said, he should be going on with the program against Super Eric instead. But instead, he's going after Petey. And I don't get that.